The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Hey Teddy, have you noticed how little attention science and health issues get in the media?
Totally, Edgar, yet science information is very important.
Yeah, for sure. That's why the Health Journalists Network is here.
How can they help?
They are a group of journalists dedicated to advancing public understanding of healthcare issues through impactful reporting on health and science.
Oh, really?
Yes, they meet up every month with scientists and researchers, policymakers, and activists at the science media cafes. They then relay what they discuss to the public.
Does that benefit us?
Oh yes, very much so. This helps with health and science literacy for a healthy Ugandan society.
Okay. I love getting informed about science and health issues. Health information makes all the difference between life and death. I'll look them up and engage them.
That's great. They are based all over the country.
Oh, okay. That's interesting, and they should be making real impact.
They are empowering health communities through journalism. Journalists can save lives just like doctors.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk.
Go to the church, though.
Tawali man, what's up?
Man, can you imagine people just dump everywhere? Someone drinks water and throws the bottle wherever.
Come on, Rogers. What else do you expect people to do with an empty bottle?
Simanya now, recorder. Did you know that plastics take at least 450 years to decompose?
What? That's a long time.
Exactly. Because plastics are made out of a lightweight and flexible material that doesn't decompose easily. And plastics everywhere in the environment cause plastic pollution.
What is plastic pollution now?
It is the accumulation of plastic waste in the environment, like bottles, polythene bags, straws. All of these contribute to plastic pollution.
I have been using them without knowing their effect.
Yeah, a lot of people have. Plastics are a danger to the ecosystem, both on land and in water.
So how can we overcome this problem? Is there something we can do?
Oh yes, we can reduce by minimizing the use of plastics, reuse by repurposing them, or recycle by collecting and processing them into new products.
Everyone wants to change the world, but no one wants to change themselves for the world.
How about we change our habits for the world?
And it starts with me and you.
This message is brought to you by Alternative Digitalk. The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.
Thank you all for keeping it Digitalk, and gladly we're back, and we can't take your patience and viewership for granted. We're back here with Honorable Awich Pola, of course, for purposes of this show and the rest of the shows, the council, because like he mentioned, we must ensure that people understand that NRM has people of quality, not the story he was saying that some people make fun of them, that once you have your working brains, it's as if when you join NRM, you leave your... that's what that people... He said that's what people say. It's not what I say. We have, of course, we still have Council Yvonne Mpambara, who at some point wished to appear on the presidential ballot paper as a presidential candidate. Sadly, she wasn't in position to be there. Back in the day, she said she had been failed. On whether that was true or otherwise, that is for some other time. The real cardinal purpose for which we convened this discussion with Honorable Awich Pola and Councillor Yvonne Mpambara is to interrogate the theme that goes as follows: protecting the gains. I want to ask Honorable Awich Pola whether indeed those are gains to literally protect, if there are, and I will give you a highlight of basic information in line to so far what Uganda faces. And as we speak, if you may consider it as important share, is that we have a debt of 116.2 trillion as a debt. Literally, that is a 51.8% of our GDP. I will want to use this as a yardstick to also compare ourselves with the country Brunei, which has 2.29% of their GDP as the debt. Brunei. Uganda has 51.80 of our GDP. Brunei has 2.29. I'll go ahead and give you Kuwait, which has 3.04. Kuwait. But of course, what is very interesting is Libya, Botswana, and Equatorial Guinea. And Equatorial Guinea is another funny country in West Africa, which has also been in trouble. But according to the IMF records, they say they simply have 25% of their GDP as a debt. Kindly share with the public, Honorable Awich, what are those gains you want us to protect as Ugandans?
First, on the question of debt, I like viewers to know that nearly every country has debts. Debts appear to be an economic way of managing a country. Japan and United States have huge debts. Huge debts. Japan and United States, they are the most indebted countries. You can check.
Yeah, America is the most indebted country.
America is the most indebted. So, running a country with debts, borrowing, seems to be the normal way of doing things. Now, a country like Brunei, I don't know whether many viewers know Brunei. The full name of Brunei is called Brunei Darussalam. Brunei Darussalam. Brunei, I'm even surprised that they would have such a thing. Brunei is a country.
2.29.
It's a country floating on oil and gas. It floats in the water, and where they are floating is on oil and gas. At one time, it is ruled by a king. At one time, the king called Michael Jackson to play for the whole country. Said, I've invited Michael Jackson.
International artists to come and sing.
They have paid for the whole country. You go and watch Michael Jackson.
Yeah, to be a happy country.
For free. The king himself flies a jet made of gold.
Yeah.
He's played. So I'm even surprised that they have debts.
Over 2.
Yeah, because they're floating on oil.
We are also floating on oil. We are floating
But
on gold. We are floating on
We
gold.
haven't started selling. Brunei sells gas. They sells what? And the population is so small. Did you see their population?
Yeah, they have a small population.
Very small. Now, the other country would be surprised if they had debt.
Libya?
No.
Kuwait?
No.
Equatorial Guinea?
No.
Botswana?
No.
Which country now?
The country that I would be surprised to have is Liechtenstein. Liechtenstein is a country of 37,000 people, and it is the richest in Europe. It is between Switzerland and Germany, and they even use Swiss currency. But it is the richest in Europe. Even white doctors from Germany go there for care. But over and above is that debt is a normal currency in every country. What matters is what you use for the debt.
Yeah,
is
sure.
it
So I would ask you, what do we use the money?
done this with it, and this is what is causing the debt.
Maybe, Honorable, which this could also guide you in your submission. Simply in 2018, we had 41 trillion as a debt, June 2018. You can imagine between 2018 to 2025, we have 116 point
Yes.
trillion.
So I was saying debts, on the issue of debts, is a normal way of governance. What matters is
What you use the money for.
how what you use the money for. And also connected to that is your ability to control resource leakage. If we borrow money and people use it for corruption, that is absurd.
Is
And
the government yourself doing the same?
On the matter of corruption, all of us have agreed, and we keep putting it in our manifesto, and we insist and we implore our national chairman to fight it. We have always told the national chairman that you, son of Kaguta, if you can domesticate the army, which used to be wild, like a wild animal, please, why don't you domesticate for us these people who are corrupt?
What does he say?
Remove them. He says, these are human beings with brains, we shall fight them, and the war continues. So, on the issue of debts, it's a way of governance. United States, Japan, they have huge debts. Surprisingly, a rich country floating on oil like Brunei also has debts. I don't know how. Okay, now this moves me to your next question of the gains.
The gains. In specifics.
Gain, I can talk until cows come back home, but I will limit myself and maybe package it in thematic concern because we can't list gains unfinished. But one thing, the gains that we have is that there is the gain. Gains are divided into two. There's the materially tangible gains and the non-material gains. The non-material gains here are gains like the unity of the country. I've repeatedly said that since NRM, since Museveni came to power, many countries have died. Somalia has died. Sudan broke into two. Yugoslavia died. Libya is in crisis. So whichever countries have collapsed, but Uganda is one.
Is there a guarantee that after his reign,
yes,
Uganda will
stay? There's a guarantee. So that is the non-tangible gains. The other gains is democracy. We have democracy. People are nearly fatigued by electoral processes. People have voted until, like now, they'll vote president, parliament, and by the time it reaches councillors, the turn-up is very poor because people have voted and they are tired. We have the democracy. Then we have things like, institutional build-up. We have built institutions, whether you call it the courts of law, whether you call it the prisons, the police, the army, with its domesticated processes. All those are software development that we have had gains. Now, when you come to the tangible gains, we can talk of, before I leave that, the non-tangible one also is the life expectancy. We have moved from 40 years, where people would live on earth for only 40 years. We have moved to 64. Now you can live to 64 years. We have added 24 years on the life of a person in Uganda. So those are the gains. And as I said, you can count them on and on and on. But remember, we divided into tangible gains and non-tangible gains. I will end for the non-tangible at that, but the list is long. The tangible ones are infrastructure. We're talking of many roads. You have the bridge in Jinja, bridge in Kayunga, bridge in the National Park, on the same River Nile, which we had always had, the one constructed by colonialists. We have built schools at parish level, a primary school. Are
they functional? It's just a matter of having...
at the sub-county or division, a secondary school.
I will ask our producer to have to showcase some of the schools and but just random search.
Also,
Random search.
Also
Yeah, we are going
good
to. Yeah,
ones.
good ones. Yeah.
Also choose good ones.
Arnold,
Also choose good
Arnold
ones.
in the control room. If you have any photos of
Both good
those
and
beautiful
bad.
schools and some infrastructure, kindly share with Honorable, which he may not be
We
aware.
are talking of that.
The tangible
yes,
gains.
the tangible, the schools, the hospitals, okay, so many, the bridges, so many. So a lot of gain has been made, and indeed this gain, we don't want it regressed. We don't want to regress. That's why we're saying, and it is in answering your question whether we have guarantee that in
even
the
after
absence it will be protected. That's why we're saying, please vote NRM. NRM is the only one which can protect those
the gains.
gains.
I have this for you, Honorable, which I do not know whether, but I know you you read a lot, and in particular by virtue of your office, and even if it wasn't by virtue of office, I'm sure you are in position to procure newspapers. There is a paper I was trying to read through, and their analysis was that some scholars say that the gains you people mention as worth the protection are rather the looting by some of your people in government. So they have everything to protect. Do you think other ordinary Ugandans have anything that they have gained that is worth protecting? The levels of unemployment, do Ugandans have jobs to as a gain to protect? Where young people are leaving the country on a daily. Some are sleeping hungry. We shall have, by God's grace, we shall have even some photos of the schools and hospitals. Are those the gains, or rather, it is the gains by few of some of your colleagues in government that, oh, we need to protect these gains?
First of all, I am happy, you know, I read so much. Even going now, I have a book in the car I have to complete. That is Dialectical Materialism by Maurice Cornforth. And I have to read that. I will finish that. And then when I go to Tanzania, I would have picked another philosophical book to read. I read philosophy, but newspaper also read. But I read a lot of philosophy because it is with philosophy that gives you the tools of analysis. Reading newspaper is like drinking water. Now, I am not sure I read that very biased opinion.
Why do you have to underline and say biased?
But the gain we have is a national gain. No man, no Uganda is now willing to break that country into pieces to a point now where a Karamojong is in Kabale and is talking to people at home on phone and is not bothered. He's talking in Karamojong, in Kabale, he's ringing to, nobody even cares. Who cares? Or a Muchiga in Moroto now is ringing back home. Who cares? Who now wants to put that into a situation where the Cholis are different, the Bateso are alone, the Banyoro are there, the Banyankola are there? Who wants that? Those are the gains we need to protect, that we are here enjoying our unity in diversity. Of course we shall always do. There's nothing perfect. I have seen in Europe countries which are not nation states also have issues. No man, in Europe, there are countries of nation states, like for example, Germany is for the Germans, France is for the French, Italy is for the Italians. But countries which are not like that, like Belgium, where you have the Dutch, you have the French, they have issues. Even a country like Belgium. I was a judge in UN, and these countries would come before us in UN, then they nearly fight there. You see them really confused. The only country that I could give credit where their national team coach football also uses a official language is Switzerland, because you have the Swiss German, the Swiss Italian, the Swiss French, and there's another type of people there. Now, it is only Switzerland because they have such an old democracy. Remember, Switzerland has older democracies than German. German became German in 1870 something. The France were still fighting in 1790. But Switzerland was already a country, and yet they are combined. So it is in those old democracy that you find in Europe nearly something you can't find like itches. How about us? In our third schedule in the Constitution, third schedule in the Constitution is that schedule which shows indigenous communities, the tribes. 65 of them. How would you expect us to stay without problem? But now we have diversity in unity in diversity. If Yvonne went to Karamoja and she's ringing to people in Kabul, in a restaurant in Moroto, who cares that Yvonne is talking to people in Uchiga or in whatever?
Couldn't it be a pretense waiting for
it's
time
not
X?
a pretense. Who? Why would a Karamojong looking at you pretend? Pretend to who?
Like,
or why would a Muchiga in Kabul seeing a Karamojong talking? Pretend to who?
They might think she's in power, so she's protected.
How about a Karamojong who is talking in Kabul?
That is a security agent. Someone could think.
No.
And
so
you have
those are the gains that nobody wants to lose. Not a gain of personal accusation of wealth, as is alleged. No. Who wants to say that the roads that were built, please break it into pieces, or break the bridge in Jinja, break the bridge
Katonga,
in Kanyonga, break the bridge in
Katonga,
or even in the national park in Masindi. You know, after Masindi, there's a new bridge there. Thanks God was built by an OB of Nutari School. But it's a very nice bridge. So
they are gains protect.
Yes, Apollo Berger. Apollo Berger is the one who did that. So now, those are collective gains. Those are societal gains. Those are national gains. And it is the gains that we want. And that is why, after the army is domesticated, when there are issues about the army, there's an uproar because we seem to be losing the gains. So everybody is saying, look, we are domesticated. This army is now good. Please, let's maintain the gain. So it is not true that the gains are personal gains. The gains are societal gains, community gains, national gains.
Okay. Thank you, Honorable Awich. Let's cross to Councillor Yvonne. And you have heard him. Would you mind giving us your view in regards to whether or not there are those gains? If not, why?
There.
Oh. No, I'll delve into maybe just a little bit of history, especially before NRM came into power, and the nature of expectation that so many Ugandans had towards the role or towards what NRM had promised in terms of delivery. Of course, when they came into power, Ugandans were seeing these new heroes, the new messiahs, and from the promises that President Museveni had made to Ugandans, how he had said, now you're going to be floating in milk and gold and honey, we had assumed that Uganda is completely going to transform from the nature of what the leadership had been before his rule. If we look at Obote, if we look at Amin, and how they had been leading this country or ruling it, the expectation of what NRM was supposed to do was supposed to be something completely different. We did not expect it to go down the same path as Obote and Amin especially.
Isn't that a very strong accusation towards the person of the president and also their government? Because I will highlight this for you. When he was launching his manifesto with that theme, protecting the gains, he highlighted that back in the day, there was not even basics like salt, sugar. Yvonne, from here, you can access any shop and get a kilo of sugar. You can even get salt and kerosene. Okay, basics. Why do you want to tarnish the gentleman's name that we are not gains when he highlights what wasn't there?
It's been 40 years. I don't know why they keep going back to that same. I mean, what would you have expected to have done in 40 years? Would you have expected the country to be static and nothing has happened? Because even Obote and Amin will give you their achievements.
They also had gains.
They had gains. They built roads. They built hospitals. Actually, majority of our hospitals that are really strong were built from their time. So they'll also give you those achievements. But if we look at the nature of how so many sectors and how certain, and I think I'll categorize them into a couple of them, service delivery, rule of law, infrastructure, which is going to come into service delivery, rule of law, constitutionalism. If we start breaking it down now into those major factors, to start analyzing whether there are gains that Uganda, especially now I'm going to speak to my generation and those that are coming down after us. If you ask us what the gains have been, are we able to calculate and analyze and tell you these are the gains?
Your generation, I don't know whether you, part of some of, not part, your generation in particular is a beneficiary of UPE.
What is the quality of that UPE?
And Honorable Wish has gladly told you of the schools. We are waiting yet to, we are yet to see some of the schools that the people will show to us. So, and those gains.
So from the, I mean, it's even good you've mentioned those. The very first thing we need to look at is the nature of service delivery under NRM that is protecting its gains. Maybe at a certain point during our parents' times, but I don't even think I can say our parents' times, because even them right now, they can't access sensible healthcare.
That's one of the schools, Honorable Witch.
Sensible healthcare. I'll begin from that. So the nature of service delivery has been cumbered by so many things. And they began a bit well. If you read the history of how NRM came and how people are perceiving its nature of delivering its results, for some years they were performing quite well, I think until the early 2000s. From the times they started arresting Bessie J, they started slowly regressing and deteriorating. So the nature of of service delivery is where it's reached right now, 40 years later, is poor. The quality of education has gone down. UPE schools, like you've showed, are now being run over by goats, herds of goats. Teachers are striking every year. They're not being paid. Health workers strike every year as well. They're not paid. So we cannot say that the quality is still the same.
Security.
If the achievements were there.
Security.
Security again. Peace and security is also another area for contention. Because we've constantly reminded ourselves that if we are not peaceful in our homes and as people, but the only kind of security you'd like us to understand is the absence of war, are we really peaceful? If
maybe that's a springboard towards the other piece. Absence of war, rely on to that.
See the bridge there.
The bridge, yeah. You see? You see the bridge.
One bridge in 40 years.
But of course, not everywhere there is need for a bridge. So they can't put that bridge in where you said. Maybe it's not necessary. But
so proceed. If you look at the nature of infrastructure, how does it take 4 years?
Could we talk about the cost in a second? Maybe about the cost of such infrastructure, because we had it's on record that Uganda has the most expensive roads.
Yes.
And they were considering, I think, the express highway about the cost. But of course, we'll come back onto that.
Billions and billions.
Yeah.
So again, Ugandans constantly remind this government that absence of war does not equate to peace. If we are living in our homes scared, like we were talking earlier on, simple statements are scaring Ugandans because of the nature of governance they've seen over the years. How they are being tortured. I mean, the president's son wakes up and tells you, may I have this man in my basement, I'm shaving him, I am torturing him, I'm doing what to him. He wakes up the next day, he's abusing women with no bums, or what does he call it, nyashless. The nature of how we've seen the governance going in this country is why we don't have peace.
And to those isolated cases, like they always say?
They're not isolated. They're not isolated, especially if they are continuous and consistent, they're not isolated. Secondly, there can't be peace if there's no justice. So what is the nature of justice in Uganda? If you wake up and throw Bessie J in jail because he has annoyed you, you throw charges at him of terrorism, and what peace do you have in Uganda? If you wake up and you're angry at Bobi Wine and you change the constitution, what nature of rule of law do you have in Uganda? So what exactly are you protecting? What gains are you protecting if the quality of all these areas we are looking at have deteriorated? Maybe we'll speak of a time when those gains were there, but I can't say as of now, 2025.
I think we also need to be quite honest, Council Pambara, to the viewers, and also doing them a big service to also acknowledge basic gains. Because as we speak, like we said previously, you not run away from also saying that there is affirmative action which has been given room for ladies to also come closer. In fact, the president said, back in the day, you and others, your grandmothers were back in the kitchen. You people, you are up here. You are in parliament as a speaker, you are in prime ministry as a prime minister.
In the studio.
You are in the studio with him. So to those gains, yeah, he has also added some other examples. And those are some of the gains that perhaps once you irrigate such gains, you will get more fruits.
When will those fruits reach? Because again, we're looking at a time period of how long these people have been in power.
Is this too long to worry you?
It is. It is. Because also we do
should
not
I
know.
remind you that the president said that Uganda turns more Omega? You know what? I know you know. Yeah. You also. What about you? Is it the same statement? Proceed. So just as
That
if
should be scary. Like I earlier said, I feel NRM came with a very good agenda for Uganda. We're not going to lie about that. That is why when Ugandans saw what NRM was promising, they saw a messiah, they saw heroes that had come to save them from the nature of what they had had before. But again, we are looking at areas, we are looking at a country that is slowly regressing. And I don't know if that is because they've stayed in power for so long that they've slowly become detached from the reality, what majority of Ugandans are going through, because then they've become rich. I don't even know what they're up to. I think that what you were talking about earlier, that these gains might be felt by particular few that are either part of NRM or part of the first family or part of... You might have been right. Because for the majority of us, now we're starting to slowly feel that Uganda is not going where it's supposed to be going. And reason why, you're talking about affirmative action, but what is the nature of that affirmative action? What's the purpose of me being in parliament if I cannot meaningfully lead? Reason why? There's someone out there who is attempting to rotate my neck, telling me, no, that's not how you lead. Do it the way I want. What's the point? What's the point if you're just a quota filler? Is that a gain?
Do you want to assert that ladies in government positions have no power?
That's not the point, because even the men are not doing their job. So we cannot just nitpick on women. That's not it. In general, the nature of governance as well has gone down. So we can't only blame women for what has gone wrong with this country, because the men are also not performing. The men who have always had power to be able to do it are not doing it.
It's a general concern.
It is a general concern because the top leadership, the rotator, the head, has slowly become something else. It is not doing its role. The head is not doing its role. So the rest of how the entire body is rotating, it's not rotating in the right direction. And that's what we are saying. You might have had those gains 20, 30 years ago, but as of 2025, those gains are regressing. They are slowly going down.
Let's talk about democracy, as he mentions, and also Honorable Awich mentions. And how undemocratic is this country, as you mentioned? Is it that some bit of
There's a statement Museveni said, I think a couple of years ago, I don't know if it was 5 or 6 years ago, where he said, I am going to eat opposition.
Crush.
Like a sambusa. Crush it. And if you get the analogy of that, or the visual of what that means, is the fact that you munch it so much. You see the way you eat a samosa. There's nothing of it left.
From this, from the sharp corner.
You eat it until it's completely finished.
And so, it's there, but it's there.
How is it there? What is the nature of what is there? Because if now all these, you told us NRM brought multipartyism, the pluralism part of democracy, but in actual sense, governance has just become a gimmick game because it is what Museveni wills it to be. Wakes up and tells you, these ones I'm going to chew them and finish them off. And indeed, he has done it. You cannot say you have a sensible opposition in Uganda. You can't say you have a sensible democracy when these people just go and shout and perform the same gimmicks that NRM is doing. What is that democracy? Is it true democracy?
Maybe it's a question to Honorable Awich to answer.
Democracy, where you have to pay for flags, you have to pay to represent a party, you have to pay to almost enter any position. Is that democracy?
Demand. The law of demand and supply.
So what nature of leaders are you putting out there if the ones who can afford to be there are only the ones with money? What is that democracy? We need to think about that as well.
So in your view, there are no gains to protect?
I think that is his answer to give.
No, for him he said there are as many.
That is
It's only,
answer to
it's
give.
only you and a few isolated cases who don't see that again. To protect.
In terms of, I think it's even something I've said before. The bit of security I would give credit for to NRM is the role it has played, especially on the regional and global scene when it comes to security. There's a lot more to do with it, but I think they've done a great job in terms of maintaining peace in other regions. Somalia, if you look at the bits they're playing in Sudan, if we look at how they've been engaging with the UN, African Union, sending troops to keep peace and order, we will give them that. There's still a lot to do, though, on that scene. There's still a lot to do. So we'll give them credit for that. They've done a great job.
But he adds that you can go to Gulu or Karamoja, Tororo, wherever, make your call, even speak in your language, and no one will
I
even
think,
bother.
like you earlier said, we are sitting on a time bomb. We're sitting on a time bomb. Because there are things people are doing simply because we are, I don't even think we are peaceful per se with each other. It's just we try to tolerate, but we know the minute something sparks us off like this, if someone throws there that little matchbox, we are not sure what is going to happen.
No, he has a guarantee. He said,
Well, what's that guarantee?
maybe he will mention, but he said he has guarantee that even after President Museveni's reign, there is going
What's
to be.
that guarantee?
No, he will tell us maybe.
I
that's
think
why
we are
he's-
sitting on a time bomb. We're sitting on a time bomb.
Okay. So, which are some other sectors now? Infrastructure,
Infrastructure, again, we're talking about
healthcare.
healthcare. You people, how are mothers still giving birth on verandas of referral hospitals?
But
And you're talking about gains. You have no medicine. The quality of some of these health centers you're putting up barely have anything in there. What is infrastructure? What is infrastructure?
progress in waiting. First have a structure,
40
put
years.
doctors there, then get medicine later.
40 years. 40 years. Other presidents were there 5 years, 10. They achieved the bit, so they also talk about achievements. We are looking at 40 years of rule. So if we are saying they are regressing, they are regressing.
But you see, Mpambara, when you listen carefully to the president, he will also say that, of course, not you, but people like you out there disturbed him. That he has
Disturbed
had
him.
more than 20 also rebellions, armed rebellions. Therefore, even when you want to hold him so accountable, and you have also to remember that he has been fighting the LRA, West Nile Front Bank, has been fighting as many. So it would be ideal enough for you to sympathize with this gentleman and say, despite all these saboteurs, this is how far we have moved.
So the rebellions are the excuses for underperforming?
It's in record. Why would
He's busy. Oh.
Yeah, how would one...
So the excuse is that he's busy.
He has... The radical opposition made him busy to fight and stabilize the country. Begin with northern Uganda, LRA, for instance.
Is that the reason for
ADF.
corruption?
So for
is
some
it
reason-
the reason for poor education? Is it the reason for poor service delivery? What exactly is that excuse? You were talking about the national debt here. How much does each Ugandan owe the government?
2.5
2 million.
now.
2.5. Where did it come from?
He said, Honorable Which said, even the most indebted country is US. For some reason, you can hardly move minus debts. It's normal, it's the way to go. Governments also run with debts. And he mentioned that what would worry is what that money is used for. Most likely he's convinced with what such monies are spent on, unless he has a different opinion on whether or not our such borrowed money is put to purpose.
First of all, our nature of negotiation cannot be compared to the US. Because when the IMF and the World Bank comes and sits on your head and they start giving you those terms and conditions for paying back, what happens to Uganda? Poor service delivery, because now you're trying to service the national debt. So you can no longer deliver in terms of service delivery. You cannot cater to hospitals, you can't cater to to roads you can't cater to. But the US will still build its roads and they'll be ready in less than a year. Uganda will take 4 years to build 20 kilometers of road. Am I lying?
Not about which.
So can we still compare ourselves to the US? We cannot compare ourselves to them because our nature of bargaining power is not the same. It's not the same.
Okay, I want to cross to Honorable Awich. You mentioned specific questions, and I will, of course, rely on the very questions that you did mention. And you highlighted that NRM, back in the NRA and later NRM had a very wonderful agenda. Honorable Awich, where did you lose the agenda?
It is not lost.
You still have it?
We still have it. Well, by 1986, on the assumption to power, if you count that is NRM, because some people argue that, and it is argued by convenient people that when there's something good in the past, they said that was not NRM.
That was NRA.
The current NRM was not.
Yeah, NRM.
Now, if they want us to share the bad, like the 40
they push
years,
you back and say the whole movement.
like the 40 years, the longevity on power, they say it is NRM. So you don't know what point NRM starts.
When they want to praise you for good work, they say between 1986 and when you were NRA, you did good work. When they want to critique you, they push. They also add the other. Yes.
Yeah, that is. So it is relative and circumstantial, but we are used to it. So on the
you didn't lose the agenda.
So on the assumption of power, that's a legal notice number one of 1986. The promise, although Yvonne says that President Museveni said we shall be flowing, Uganda will be flowing into milk, honey and all that.
Fundamental change.
I don't think he said that. The statement that Museveni said was that this is not a change of guards. This is a fundamental change.
Do you mind adding where he said that one of Africa's biggest problem are leaders who overstay in power?
Overstay in power.
That's how you will have made a very complete speech.
The issue here is the promise made. So now,
the fundamental change.
The fundamental change has been achieved and continues. As we all know, we live in an interconnected world and a moving one. It is not interconnected and frozen. It is interconnected and moving. And that is the essence of dialectical materialism. Therefore, the promise of the fundamental change, even if you solve a problem now, it creates a new challenge. For example, if we now created the problem of industrialization and we have factories everywhere, we create a problem of pollution.
For instance.
If we create a problem, we solve a problem of taking children to school, to UPE, to USE, to university,
you
and
create crowded schools.
A problem of unemployment. Therefore, it is not possible to say you came with this promise and you have solved them. That would mean the society is static, and that mechanical thinking was destroyed when electrical engineering came up. Because at the time of mechanical engineering, which was the first engineering in the 19th century in Europe, there was such argument like either this or that. But now you can have both, not either. So that was an argument which was predominant at a time when our consciousness was only thinking of mechanical engineering, where people believe for every cause there must be a cause and the effect. Therefore, it is not possible to say we had come with 10-point program and therefore after 10-point program and that is all. No. Or to choose whether we have deviated from the 10-point program or not. Because we all know for a fact, like you have been mentioning IMF, we all knew for a fact that that was the ideal that we wanted. But when you come to state power, you get forces that act against you, like IMF, World Bank. Then you have to forge flexibility to accommodate them, but not to lose your eye from the ball. And that's what we have been doing. You accept the IMF, the World Bank with their conditionalities to achieve what you want, but keep your eye on the ball. So that in future, you know that should oil start working, we would disengage slowly from IMF, World Bank, because we can fund our activities.
Do you think, in
So
your
that
view,
is it.
Honorable Awich, in a second, do you think you have the will to, even after we have gotten the oil money for NRM to pay such debts, especially where the corruption gap hasn't been dealt with?
The will is huge.
What's
The
that?
will is huge.
But what brings about this will? Because it's like the public doesn't feel the will, to be honest with you. Because I want to highlight some specifics. That some time ago, you were in Kololo, I mean you as a party, and Honorable Betty Kamia talked about the corrupt. But sarcastically, the president at some point, he mentioned, so as long as these people, they are stealing and they are investing here, you will scare away these people. Does that represent the will to fight corruption?
The president's statement should be taken in context. The president was saying, if you start now auditing
Lifestyle audit.
Lifestyle audit simply means you are paid this much of money,
You have this much.
but you have this Mercedes-Benz and Land Cruisers and all that. Okay? First of all, it would be difficult under the criminal law principles that you just look at me by your eyes
and you suspect that, no.
that I've committed a crime. But also, the president was being pragmatic and saying, if you audit this lifestyle, these people will run with the money.
So he
and
also
take
knows
the
that they have
Yes,
dubious
yes.
deals, but they run away.
Yes, but meaning the president was saying, give me time. There's a way I want to deal with it, so that at that time when I get them, they can't run away with it.
Has he?
It was
How
not
long?
like he's saying a perpetual way of saying, never under the sun will you touch them. It was just talking
Asking for time.
tactics vis-a-vis the strategy.
But you say,
That the strategy is a long strategy, but the tactics inside there, for example, is we are not auditing them now. Okay? We are not auditing them now, and that is a tactic. But the final strategy is we shall get them anyhow.
On that very point, where your government has had interest in dealing with something, they have woken up in the morning, he has sanctioned the NRM caucus, he has gone ahead to ensure that if there is a need for the amendment of any law, it cannot even take a month. In the event that you mention that in criminal procedure, you may not look at someone and say, you've only came with one vehicle, she now has 3. But if that calls for the law, for the amendment in law, and there is will, don't you think you should have amended or made new laws to ensure, if you are intentional, to ensure that there are strict laws, rather than saying, give me time. Because who knows, by the time that time comes, maybe all the corrupt will have died. Where do you leave the country when they have died and left all of this that they looted to their family members? It goes back to the will.
The will is now you're talking of legislation. There are some laws, of course, which you want to legislate against the principles of law. For example, you're not going to legislate. Obote tried, but it couldn't work. Obote passed a law called Preventive Detention Act. Preventive Detention Act was that if you look at him and suspect
He's about to commit a crime,
you arrest him.
But you applied
And
the very
not-
law on
not
Westgate
only-
back in the day.
Not only do you arrest him,
can keep him on his own.
But don't even charge him.
You have done that, Honorable Witch. And there are cases on paper.
So, well, the point here is, do you want government to pass that kind of law?
Every Ugandan would say yes. In regard to the corrupt.
Then send your members, tell your members of parliament.
You've only mentioned that you seem to have lost touch with the reality. Are you in touch? Because we want to connect all these things in line with the gains. Are you in touch as leaders with the ground and
we
reality?
are very much in touch because we are the ones who designed the manifesto. And we take the manifesto to the people, and people vote us. When people vote us, we have signed a social contract with the people. And the implementation of this manifesto goes down. First of all, the manifesto making is bottom top. It consult the bottom to go up. That shows we're in touch with the people. Two, this very party which is making a manifesto and marketing to the people is a party which has up to the grassroots branch. Our lowest branch is called, our lowest unit is called a branch. And that is why when we are going to conduct party elections, we have more polling stations than Biabakama. The election polling stations
from LC1.
Yeah, from LC1. So we are in touch because we have our people up to LC1. And we consult them and we talk to them.
Do you consider these people being a part of you genuinely, or rather for the friends with the benefits, or these are supporters with the benefits?
It is genuine. NRM was born out of those structures even during the war. Even in war, those structures existed. So it can't be us now that we use those structures in the war. And now when there's peace, we don't use those structures. No way. It is our structure. We love it, it works, and it keeps us down to the people. I don't think any of these parties have such structures. They have up to maybe sub-county. Finished, UPC.
Maybe because they have been made financially unstable, and therefore they may not be in position. Because as we even speak, your biggest contender here, Honorable Chagulanyi, was mentioning on how you have closed and blocked the iPod money. How do you expect such a person with his party to also reach far? But
iPod money came out. My iPod money is
you didn't give him money. You know you didn't give him money.
No, after signing the
he will get.
I think. Yeah.
Is he about to get?
Yeah.
We shall have you next Monday by God's grace, and maybe highlight on whether or not he will have received the money.
I will confirm.
And confirm. Finally, I think from if I could ask you, you use like 2 minutes, is to ask about these numbers, and it's in line with your party structures. Are these genuine numbers, or you have AI and artificial, you have GMOs?
Like that picture they posted on
you have so many. Yeah, we have seen people in yellow and
no man.
Some claiming to have crossed from Noop and
Norman and Yvonne.
They are happy with the gains.
Go and tell your people at home that today I was with a witch, and a witch assured us these numbers are real.
Not GMOs.
Because I have repeatedly said, Yvonne, that the Electoral Commission gives the presidential candidates a district. A district. You appear in a district once. Now, our presidential flag bearer went to Luero to launch, but his timetable is showing he will come back to Luero. Now, the first campaign started in my hands. I am a zone, Lao zone. I go to a Molata a day before. I make sure I send the public address system in the villages, because now I'm tasked to bring the entire district in one place to listen.
So you had to ferry.
Now, I do that. I also go on the radio, thanks to NRM. Nearly every district has a radio. I go on the radio. I talk myself silly. I mobilize. The following morning, people come in big numbers. I'm told that some people were saying that we are even giving them 10,000 per show.
What?
Zero.
What is it? What is
just drink water? Nothing.
With due honesty, you, I don't know whether yourself or even your colleagues, you mean to say that those people use their transport and come to your rallies just because, of course, like your campaign theme states, because they are happy with the gains and therefore willing to protect them, you haven't facilitated them with those roles we see that ferry people?
No, with transport, I've already told you, if the presidential candidate is given a district, the ingenuity of the party to raise people is your business. If you have an airplane, you put it for them.
Okay.
If you have a helicopter, you put them. The point is, your candidate is in Agago district
with the numbers,
and you want people to listen in Agago. He's not going to another sub-county. He's not going to another parish. He's just here for once. So we use our means to bring. If we use the lorries, it would be bad if we pulled people from their houses by gun, or if we had bought them from their houses to board the lorries. But if we persuaded them and they are coming and this distance is long, and we as a party we have the resources, why don't we do
Don't these two statements contradict one another, which that in mere primary school we are given 2,000, and then you expect that at the higher level these people do it genuinely?
It is.
Okay.
That's why
your
I'm
closing
telling
remarks
you.
and then a question
That's why I'm
Mpambara
telling
will
you.
leave here.
That's why I'm telling you that go home and tell your people at home that I was with a witch who has been handling Lango. You are sure that there's nothing.
So there was no
given.
money in Lango. Okay, maybe some
There's
other
no
regions.
giving.
Your closing remarks call upon your, I don't know whether you have voters, supporters, or even your candidate, and then you close to Mpambara.
My closing remarks is from the topical issues today.
Protecting the gains.
Protecting the gains. Colleagues, fellow Ugandans, and I'm saying the gains are made, the country is one, a Karamanjong goes to Kampala, nobody cares. We are in Kampala. Here, we are nearly, I think all of us, 4 of us here, everybody is coming from his own tribe. What is yours? Another one.
Different
yours,
tribes.
all of us, 4 of us, imagine in a room of 4, everybody
already
from
Uganda
his
is
own-
represented.
All Ugandans. So who doesn't want that? Please vote NRM, vote Museveni. We maintain this gain.
Okay. We have heard Mpambara wake up on which date in Jan, go vote NRM and protect the gains. Yeah, closing remarks and then we shall leave here.
There's a lot to do. There's a lot to do, especially for the incoming president. I don't even know what I'm going to say, because we feel we already know who that is going to be.
You see,
but
now that's their strength. Have you heard? She already knows who is the victor.
She knows, she has indication. Because she sees the turn up.
She sees the numbers.
She sees the turn up. She sees the
gains.
She meets people on the
She
road.
even sees the
and
gains.
people tell her we are voting NRM.
She even sees the gains.
Yes, she sees the gain.
There's a lot of work to do in the next 5 years
Okay.
to prove, and this is us looking at the fact that it's probably the last term Museveni is serving. There's a lot to prove that these gains they're talking about protecting will be improved, because, like I've said, they've regressed. They've regressed. The quality of public service delivery is poor. Our nature of governance is poor. Our rule of law, completely poor. Constitutionalism, I can't even go there. We know what they've done to the Constitution. We know what they've done to justice. There's a lot to improve. So, honestly speaking, for whichever president is coming into power, which we all know is the incumbent, he has a lot of work to do. And Ugandans can't continue to bury their heads in the sand. They have to complain. They have to put out their challenges out there. And the best that these leaders can do is listen. They need to listen to Ugandans and act.
Okay.
We need to see change. We need to see something happening, something tangible is changing. Don't tell us you're thinking about lifestyle audit in the back on the law. We need to see it in action. We need to see systems that are working.
Okay. Our viewers, we can't thank you enough. And at 9, we won't amend our constitution here. At 9, we should be signing out. Catch you some other time.
The Alternative Dig Talk. Real issues, real talk.